media. It is true that the County Assembly, which is meant to be the beacon of hope to Nairobians, has not lived to all its constitutional and moral expectations. Since the inception of the Second Assembly in September 2017, this Assembly has suffered lack of proper leadership at the top helm. In August 2018, upon reflection, members of the County Assembly, by an overwhelming resolution, supported by a vote of 105 against 3, approved the impeachment of the Assembly Speaker, the Honorable Elach, for many reasons, key amongst them being corruption, abuse of office, incompetence, and poor leadership. Subsequently, the Honorable Speaker rushed to the Employment and Labor Relations Court and quashed the sovereign will of the members of the County Assembly. Having stayed outside for close to 1 year, the Honorable Speaker returned to office in August 2019. Upon her return, the members of the County Assembly, in the interest of peaceful coexistence and harmony, agreed to bury the hatchet and give the Honorable Speaker a second chance. This has now become untenable, and instead of leading the Assembly and providing the Assembly with the much needed leadership, the Honorable Speaker has led the Assembly in the most divisive, vigilance, corrupt path in the history of this Assembly, as highlighted below. 1. Abuse of office. The Honorable Speaker has completely forgotten that her office is a constitutional office, which is required to operate under Chapter 7 of the Constitution. The Honorable Speaker has converted the office of the Speaker into her personal property. She has destroyed all the offices in the Assembly and has now become the majority leader, the minority leader, the chief whips, MCAs, chairs of committees, members of the committees, the clerk, and even the staff. The Speaker does not regard or respect anyone in the Assembly. 2. Victimization of MCAs. Since her return, the Speaker has embarked on a vigorous campaign of settling scores with any MCA who does not agree with her. As a result, we have seen her remove MCAs from various committees, chairmanships of committees, MCAs being thrown out from the Assembly illegally and for petty reasons, MCAs being denied entry into the Assembly, among others. Number 3, victimization of staff. Those members of staff who are deemed to have belonged or supported the clerk of the County Assembly, Mr. Jacob Gwele, have been thrown out from the Assembly and others sent on interdictions, overlooked in promotions, and other transferred to other unrelated departments. Number 4, impunity, disregard of the law, and county orders. Honorable Elach, to Honorable Elach, the law does not exist. She is the law, the Constitution, the County Government Act, and among others. Despite being back in office courtesy of court orders, the Speaker does not obey any court order. Right now, there are over 10 court orders against her, and she has defied all of them. The Speaker does not follow any law, not the Constitution, not the County Government Act, and not the standing orders. The Assembly, despite being the law-making body for the Nairobi County, has now become the biggest lawbreaker in the country. Elach is the law, and law is Elach. Number 5, illegal appointment of the new clerk. Notwithstanding the fact that the clerk of the County Assembly is Jacob Gwele, and that there are court orders to that effect, and in fact, the last one being the one dated 20th July 2020, which directed that the status quo to be maintained, the Speaker, without the authority of the board, and in disregard of the court orders, appointed Mr. Edward Geshana as the clerk. Other members of the board, in fact, a majority of them who are with us here, have distanced themselves from the sham exercise. We also distance ourselves from the said appointment, confirm that the clerk of the Nairobi County Assembly is none other but Jacob Gwele and not Edward Geshana. Number 6, militarization of the Assembly. In order to stem out dissenters, the Speaker has now resulted to deploy the APs, the police, and the GSU drawn from the NMS into the County Assembly to terrorize and intimidate the MCAs. In fact, she has placed the Assembly in a complete lockdown, and no MCA is allowed to access the Assembly without her authority. Due to the above and many other reasons, over 80 members of the County Assembly have today resolved to invoke Section 11 of the Assembly, to invoke Section 11 of the recently enacted County Government Amendments Act 2020 and commence the impeachment process against the Speaker of the Nairobi County Assembly, Honorable Beatrice Elach. The grounds are contained in the notice of motion, which will be submitted to the Clerk of the County Assembly tomorrow in accordance with subsection 5 of the County Government Amendments Act 2020. We as members of the County Assembly, we have resolved to follow the new law to the letter. We do not want to give anyone any reason to rush to court and block our sovereign will. We will ensure that the Speaker is given adequate notice to respond to our allegations as contained in the notice of the motion. Subsection 6 provides that once the Speaker is notified of the notice, she ceases to discharge the functions of the office of the Speaker until the Assembly resolves on the motion. We are therefore asking the Speaker to step aside now that the motion has received more than a third. Now that the motion has received more than a third statutory threshold of 41 MCAs and allow the Assembly to process the motion as per the law. We affirm our support to our President, His Excellency the President Kenyatta, and ODM party leader Raila Odinga for the handshake. More so, we 100% support the NMS, and we are ready to have always supported the NMS. We also support our Governor Mike Sonko and his government, and we affirm our support and commitment to deliver services to Nairobians. Finally, we wish to request the IG of Police to please remove officers from the County Assembly. Please. The County Assembly belongs to its members, the members of the County Assembly, and not the police. We do not want to see the police, especially those deployed from NMS, being used to terrorize, frighten, and scare away MCAs from their office, which are protected by the law. We thank you. I will request our colleague from ODM.
Yeah.
And Honorable.
Yes, asanteni sana. I'm Honorable Chola Wilson, MC Utalii Ward elect. Yangu ni machache sana. Hii County Assembly sasa imekuwa ya maaskari. Na sisi tunataka kuambia Speaker amechukua sheria kwa mkononi mwake. Anafikiria hii ni nyumba yake, sisi ni watoto yake, sisi tumechaguliwa. We are not ready to work under military rules. Katika hii County Assembly sasa imekuwa ni askari, AP, police, jeshu. They should also resign, wakuje wapigiwe kura, wakuje kwa hii nyumba kama wanataka hii nyumba. Ile tunataka kusema, chenye tunafanya hapa sio mambo ya Governor Mike Sonko. Hii ni mambo yetu kama MCS. The governor is out of this 100%. Ikikuwa wanasema mara governor, hata governor alizaliwa na mtu. Let us put that mambo ya governor aside. Hii ni mambo yetu kama elected leaders. Na mkiona hapa, we are all of us here. Na sisi tunasema kutokea Monday hatutaki mambo ya GSU hapa ndani. Na ule GSU atakuwa hapa ndani, aenda apigiwe kura kwa ground, aingie hapa ndani. Tumeelewana na nyinyi? Tumeelewana na nyinyi? Na tunasema hivi, Elach awache kubeba hii nyumba vile amebeba watoto yake kwa nyumba yake. Tunampatia notice, hii ni nyumba ya rules and laws. Na tunasema hivi, enough is enough. Semeni enough is enough. Enough is enough. Asanteni sana.
Tuko na board member. Then you come.
Haya, amjambo. Yangu itakuwa machache. Kwa majina naitwa Mheshimiwa Mark Ndongo kutoka Maringo Hamza, na mimi ni Vice Chairman wa board ya County Assembly ya Nairobi. Juzi tumeshangaa. Tulikaa kwa mkutano na tukatoa resolution ya kwamba huyo clerk ambaye speaker anasema ati ni clerk sasa kwa assembly, tulisema hakuwa qualified, ana parliamentary practice, na tukaresolve as a board na tukapiga kura. Tukatoka na kura 3 against 2 ya speaker na board member mwenzake. Mama mwingine yako hapo. So mimi nataka kuaji His Excellency the President. Jina yako imetumika sana. Jina yako na ya Raila Amolo Odinga imetumika sana kwa hii nyumba. Tuliambiwa juzi His Excellency atulipigia madam anaitwa Elach ati kama hatupitishi Geshana tutaenda nyumbani. Na sisi tumesema hivi, rais, tumechoka na jina yako kutumika vibaya. Tulienda State House, ulituita, tukakaa, tukatengeza kitu inaitwa NMS. Lakini Elach amekuwa yeye ndio anapiganisha NMS na gavana wetu wa Nairobi. Na mimi nataka kusema hivi, bila kuogopa, gavana alichaguliwa na kura zaidi ya 1800. Hata kama general alipatiwa kazi afanyie wananchi kazi, hakupatiwa kazi ya kuwe mwanasiasa. General, mimi nakuaje wewe, fanye ile kazi rais ambaye alikupatia. Wachana na mambo ya siasa. Hatukukimbizana na Sonko. Sonko akitengeza barabara unakimbia. Our members of county assembly, kila member ako na WDF kwa wodi yake. Lakini juzi tumeshangaa, general anasema maengineers wote watolewe kwa site na project zetu zisimame. Sisi tunataka kusema sisi tulichaguliwa na wananchi. Na vile tulichaguliwa na wananchi, hatutakubali kugandamizwa na mtu ambaye aliappointiwa. Sisi kama county assembly tunasema ya kwamba governor wa Nairobi ni Mike Sonko. Na sisi tuna support agenda ine ya rais. Mambo ya manyumba, healthcare, zote tuna support. Na kuna handshake sahi. Lakini mama, kuliko walete hata handshake kwa nyumba, yeye amekuwa yeye ndio na divide the house. Amekuwa ni majority, amekuwa ni board ni yake, kila kitu ni huyo madam anaitwa Elach. Na tunasema hivi, nataka kuambia IG. Nataka kuambia IG. Watu sasa wanafariki na mambo ya corona. IG, askari wasitumike hapa, watusimamishe kufanya mandate ambayo tulipatiwa na wananchi. Na hiyo ndio mandate, hiyo ndio imefanya kitu moja, tusukume Elach atoke nje ya assembly. Kwa sababu hatutakubali ati askari wanajazwa hapa, ati MCA ziingia. Na tumesikia ati leo usiku watalalisha guns hapa. Tunawaambiwa wajaribu kulalisha guns, na askari mkiwa support, hata sisi tuko na raia kwa ground. Tutaleta watu wetu hapa, tuseme tumeshindwa kufanya mandate yetu kwa sababu ya kuwa tunadhulumiwa na Elach, askari na wakora wengine wote. So mimi sina mengi, nasema Elach lazima aende nyumbani. Sisi ndio tulimrudisha watu 8 na lazima aende nyumbani. Elach must go. Asante.
Very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, I hope Elach is listening to what you are saying here. Ya kwamba we are the employers, sisi ndio tulipatia Madam Elach kazi. We are tired, tumefika mwisho. We are tired with divisive politics za Elach, and Elach made this bed. We will deal with it. Tumeanza safari yetu kutoka leo, tunaenda mpaka mwisho. Tutahakikisha ya kwamba Elach anafanya nini? Anaenda nyumbani. Tumechoka, tutafanya kazi yetu, and nobody is going to stop us from doing that. Yes.
Thank you very much. As you have heard from members of this assembly, we